Hey everyone, welcome to JD Careers Out There, where we get you career advice from fellow lawyers and non-practicing lawyers to help you find a path that excites you and achieve success and happiness in your career. I'm Mark Luber, and today we're exploring careers on Capitol Hill, and we're talking to former Congressional Committee Senior Counsel David Satkin. Here's a little look at our discussion and the great advice he shared.
For anyone who doesn't have a lot of experience with how Washington works, there's two types of staff on Capitol Hill. There's personal office staff, and these are the people that deal with constituent services and deal with the members' issues, whether they're writing speeches or figuring out how to vote on a particular issue. And then there's committee staff, and those are really more of the professionals. Those are the lawyers that are out there. They're writing the legislation or conducting investigations. So the committee staff is just a little bit more, there's a little more substance to the job than working for an individual member. So what happened was when I started working on Capitol Hill, it happened to be a time when there was a big high-profile investigation going on. I joined a committee staff, spent several years working on the staff, and then just through the normal course of employment, you just start to get more seniority, especially in a place like Washington, where much of the staff is very young and right out of school. If you spend enough time in Washington, you start to develop more of an expertise, more of a reputation, you become more of a trusted advisor, and you climb through the ranks.
So then what are you doing on a regular day in that role? Who are you interacting with, and what are your responsibilities?
Well, it all depends on which committee you're working on. There are some committees that have a lot of legislative responsibilities, and they're actually drafting the laws. They're doing research, they're holding hearings, they're figuring out what various stakeholders' positions are and trying to craft legislation that will accomplish their goals. That's kind of the traditional committee staff. Our committee was slightly different because we were the investigative arm of Congress. We were the committee responsible for conducting investigations, primarily of the executive branch. So the primary function of Congress is to enact legislation, but the secondary role is to conduct oversight, and that's to make sure it's one of the checks and balances under the Constitution is that Congress has oversight responsibility of the executive branch. So our job was to make sure that there was a fair and balanced investigation of certain behavior by the executive branch to make sure the majority at the time was trying to make a case that the executive branch acted inappropriately, and our job was not to defend the executive branch, they could defend themselves, but just to make sure that the investigation was being conducted in a fair and balanced way so that it wasn't being used for partisan political purposes, but actually for a legitimate purpose of making sure that the appropriate checks and balances were in place.
Wow. So it's a pretty important job.
It's a very important job.
All right, you can watch a full episode of Dave and I going more in depth into Capitol Hill careers at jdcareersoutthere.com. You'll learn a lot more about the different roles, how you can do them, and how you can break in. You can take a shortcut to the site by going to JDCOT.com, and if you're already there, you can just scroll down to the full video. And make sure you become a member so you get access to the full interview, as well as access to lots more exclusive content filled with great advice. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I'm Mark Luber, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.